Like, is it a soft charge? Yeah. Does she do a really, really bad job of taking the hit? Yeah. Absolutely. She does a horrible job of taking the hit. From the other angle, it looks like she just threw herself back onto the ground. But, like, that's an offensive foul. That's an offensive foul. And I can't believe I said this because I said, oh, yeah, this is the same flop as Letitia Mier. And you know what? Again, if it's not called both ways, if the referees didn't nearly try to foul.
A single play from the Indiana Fever's recent game has generated significant controversy, with multiple credentialed media outlets publishing critical pieces accusing Caitlin Clark of flopping. A new camera angle, however, tells a more complicated story and raises serious questions about the quality of the coverage that followed. The play in question shows Clark attempting to take a charge. She is elbowed, goes to the ground, and the officials do not call a foul. From the widely circulated angle, the fall looked dramatic enough that several journalists characterized it as a deliberate flop.
If the referees didn't nearly try to foul out Aaliyah Boston on exclusively offensive fouls that were flops, it's one thing. But, like, that's more of an offensive foul than anything from me here. So the think pieces were a better charge. People saying CC flopped in this play, send her elbow. She hit the deck. She tried to sell a foul. She absolutely did. She absolutely did. That being said, like, it looks bad here. It does look bad from this angle. It looks bad, really bad.
USA Today was among the outlets that ran commentary using the clip as evidence of broader behavioral concerns, with language that, while technically framed as analysis, carried implications about Clark's integrity as a player and competitor. The alternative angle tells a different story. The contact is visible. Clark was hit. What she did poorly was absorb and sell the contact convincingly. Her fall looked exaggerated, which is what made it easy to misread from certain viewpoints.
It looks bad, really bad from this angle, I have to admit. It looks really, really bad from this angle. Account that I've blocked. Let me guess which dumbass this is. Oh, I have no idea. Oh, yeah, fair enough. But it did look bad from that angle. But, like, you would think before being... Again, it's one thing if you are a content creator. It's one thing if you're a content creator. It's another thing if you are credential media where...
But the standard being applied in that game by officials was consistent. Contact plus going to the ground was being called as a foul rather than a flop. Under that standard, the play should have been called an offensive foul. That it was not is debatable. That it was a cold-blooded fabrication designed to deceive officials is not supported by the new footage. The more significant issue is what happened after the play.
What you post goes through editors, should be fact-checked, and if you're pushing a narrative, it means a lot more. And again, there is a reason why. Like, if I was representing a news outlet or somebody else, and I was posting on their outlet, it means a lot more rather than just giving an opinion piece. Rather than just giving my opinion on the situation all around. But this is an offensive foul. There is no question about it.
One media member, reportedly unable to get a post-game quote from Clark, appears to have published a critical piece regardless. Once that piece existed, others followed, each one reinforcing the last, each one drawing views from the same audience that responds to negative Clark coverage. The result is a feedback loop where a play that was at worst an unsuccessful charge attempt became, through repetition and escalation, a character indictment. This pattern is not unique to Clark or to women's basketball. Media narratives, once set, have a documented tendency to outlast the evidence that originally supported them.
Wow. There is no question about it. This is an offensive foul. And even if you want to say it's soft, okay, fine. If you want to say, yeah, it's a soft foul, yeah, I don't disagree. But when the referees in the game have shown that any contact plus falling to the ground equals foul and not flop, that's what the referees decided. This should have been called as a foul. But yet, instead,
Luka Doncic's weight was discussed openly and critically, even during a stretch where he was averaging 40 points across a 10-game winning run. Nikola Jokic's MVP credentials were questioned on grounds that had nothing to do with basketball. Dwight Howard's all-time standing was likely diminished by personal friction with influential media figures, rather than his actual body of work. Kwame Brown remains attached to a Big Jess Bust label, rooted more in a memorable broadcast moment than in any careful historical comparison. The concern raised here is that Clark is entering a similar dynamic.
yet, instead, a lot of journalists recklessly wrote entire think piece articles about how Caitlin Clark is a disgrace to basketball. And I mean this. I think her not showing up to media, I think they were trying to get a quote out of her, and they didn't. So now that's the thing. And you better believe that it's like, there was one article written, and now you're seeing all the media being like, oh yeah, keep writing these, keep writing these, keep writing. This is how people really feel. And that's the thing. There's a positive feedback loop.
It does not require malicious coordination, just the basic incentive structure of a media environment where negative Clark content reliably generates engagement. Under those conditions, a 30-point, 10-assist performance can be overshadowed by a single defensive miscommunication if the story structure demands it. The play that triggered this particular cycle was not a flop, but whether that correction reaches the same audience as the original accusation is a different question entirely.
The thing, there's a positive feedback loop. These things are feedback loops. And if you get a feedback loop where writing something negative about Caitlin Clark equals views and impressions, I'm going to be real. You're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep doing it. And that's not necessarily a knock on the individuals. It's not necessarily a knock on the publications. But again, if a lie is
the blowout loss to the Portland Fire has pushed Indiana Fever fan sentiment to a breaking point, with calls for Stephanie White's dismissal now loud and widespread. The defeat itself was damaging enough, but footage circulating after the game showing an apparent confrontation between White and Caitlin Clark on the sideline has added another dimension to the fallout. In the clip, White appears visibly frustrated as Clark is pulled from the floor in favor of Raven Johnson, a substitution that drew immediate criticism given the game situation. Questions about the locker room are growing.
Individuals is not necessarily a knock on the publications, but again, if a lie is told enough times, it becomes the truth. If a lie is told enough times, it becomes the truth. And the fact is that the exact play that has been quoted in every one of these articles was not a flop. was actually a foul. Worst case scenario, you can say she tried to oversell the contact. I'm sorry, when has anyone ever been killed for trying to oversell contact?
The concern being raised is that when players step to the podium and describe everything as fine, that is professional behavior, not necessarily an accurate read of internal conditions. Those who have watched coaches lose their teams before recognize the pattern. Composed public statements, deteriorating results, and visible tension caught on camera. Whether the situation has reached that point is not confirmed, but the visual evidence from the bench is being treated as meaningful. The substitution pattern that triggered the loss to Portland has become the focal point of the criticism.
We've got more footage of Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White going at it. You know, my boy Rudy over at the Come On Now podcast said he believes the locker room may be fractured. I saw a comment a minute ago, and in fact, let me just look. I believe I retweeted it. Oh, she has lost the locker room.
White pulled Clark and Aliyah Boston.
Locker room. Talking about Stephanie White. Guys, we've seen this before when coaches have lost the locker room and the players have tuned them out. We may have an instance just like that. Look, a lot of the people that want to defend, and there are people defending last night's game, absurdly defending last night's game. I mean, if they want to stick their...
At Vanderbilt, the program deteriorated under her tenure, with top players departing before she was ultimately removed. The criticism being leveled now suggests a similar dynamic, a preference for interchangeable, system-driven players over stars who require the offense to run through them. The suggestion is that White functions better in environments without a clear hierarchy, and that Clark's presence and the expectation that the offense should center on her sitter creates friction with that philosophy. The organization itself is also drawing fire.
I mean, if they want to stick their head up their own ass and pretend that the sun just set, okay, I mean, that's on you. There's a 5-alarm fire going on right now. These players are not going to get on a podium in a press conference, and they're not going to drown their coach publicly. They're going to be professional. They're going to be like, oh, everything's fine, blah, 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 blah. And that does not mean it's true.
Roster construction decisions, the front office's handling of injury information, and the apparent reluctance to build around Clark in the way her talent demands are all being cited. A social media post congratulating Kelsey Mitchell on a franchise assists milestone drew pointed reactions, given that Mitchell is widely regarded as a player who avoids distributing the ball. Aliyah Boston's stat line from the Portland game, 18 points on 53% shooting with 7 rebounds, was characterized as empty accumulation in a game that had long since been decided. The ratings picture has also entered the conversation.
It's fine, blah, 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 blah. And that does not mean it's true. They're playing the game. Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark last night.
A recent Fever game on USA Network drew 643,000 viewers, a sharp drop from the numbers Clark-driven matchups were generating previously. The concern is that the momentum built around Clark's arrival in the league, momentum that attracted a significant new media rights deal, is being undermined from within by coaching decisions that limit her impact and visibility. The central tension, as fans and observers frame it, is binary. Either the coaching staff adapts its approach to maximize Clark, or the deterioration continues. This is a preview. The view gaining traction is that the organization is mishandling the most significant opportunity in the franchise's history, and that without a change in direction, starting with the head coaching position, the damage may prove difficult to reverse.
I swear to God, it looks like she just benched her. It looks like she just benched her for Raven Johnson. And look at Stephanie White's face. Look at Stephanie White's face. She's pissed. She's pissed. She's mad. And I'm sure Caitlin Clark's not happy because hell, if we don't understand what the hell's going on, if we don't know what's going on with all these senseless, weird substitutions and the way she's managing minutes and this and that and the other, have we even considered the idea that this team is lying to us about this injury situation and they're just flat soft benching Caitlin Clark? I've said numerous times, if you give Stephanie White truth serum, she believes this team is better without Caitlin Clark. That she wants this team to look like last year's team, not, and guess what? Caitlin Clark didn't play on last year's team. She played on 13 games. I've never seen Stephanie White so damn happy. I guess somebody, I saw a post from Ben Daniel earlier. Somebody had brought up Tom Brady and Bill Belichick going at it. Bill Belichick's got 8 Super Bowl rings. Stephanie White once took a flamethrower to the Vanderbilt college basketball program, and her best talent up and left the program over her. Go look it up. She took a flamethrower. She buried the program till they got rid of her ass. Her best players left, got the hell out of there.